What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another chess endgame lesson, and in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at a rook versus a pawn endgame. Now in this video I set up two positions which are identical, this one and this one, even though you guys can't see I'm switching tabs on my browser. And you see in one of these positions it's black's turn to move and it says mate in 24, so this is pretty much a dominating position for black. And in this position where it's white's turn to move, Stockfish says that this position is equal. It should be a draw. And that is correct. So why is it that when it's black's turn to move that it's such a dominating position? Well, that is because when it's black's turn to move, they can use a technique that we're going to be taking a look at in this video, and that is moving the rook to b4. So what does this accomplish? Whenever black moves their rook to b4, what this does is it cuts off the king, the white king, from the pawn on g5. Now, if white wants any chance of winning this game, what they need to do is they need to get their pawn and promote it to a queen on g8. However, they can't do that by just marching up the pawn alone. They need the help from the white king. So if we cut off the king and the pawn, then our plan is to essentially not allow that technique to happen. So now white has a couple options, although at this point it doesn't really matter. What they typically are going to try to do is just go ahead and start advancing their pawn, because that's really their only option if they want to win this game. So now we have a very interesting technique, and that is taking our rook and moving it to b6. Now with this, what we're going to do is we're going to start attacking this pawn. Now obviously the king can't protect it because it's too far away. It's not going to be able to get there in time. And now if pawn goes to, let's just say g7, since it's useful for the king to come to try and protect it, we can just go to g6 and win the game. If this queens, then we just go ahead and capture. Now if we go back to the beginning of this position, when we played rook to b4, white doesn't have to move this pawn forward. That's not their only option. They can also choose to move their king if they want to waste some time. However, it's not going to do any good for them. In that case, when they aren't progressing their pawn, then what we can do is just simply start moving our king forward. So let's say that white plays, I don't know, a useless move, king to g3, then we can just go ahead and say, hey, if this pawn isn't moving, we still have the king cut off, so we're essentially going to go and attack it this way. And the moment that white moves, then we can do this little maneuver of moving the rook to b6. Of course, this pawn is going to be under attack because the white king is going to be too far away to protect it, and there you go. So a very simple idea of whenever you're playing a rook versus a pawn endgame, goal number one is to cut the king off from the pawn, since it's essentially the only protector of it, and at that point you can just go ahead and win the pawn easily. Now I do want to say that this doesn't work if white's king can actually get close enough to the pawn where you can't cut it off, or the pawn is already too far along where this technique isn't going to work. Let's say they were on one of these last two ranks and they can just become a queen. So that's the basic concept of rook versus pawn. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys next video.